Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name's Subhan, I'm a software engineer and a part-time content creator, and this is my very first setup tour. And you probably can't tell from this angle, but my room's pretty small, so I'm going to be talking all about how I've designed it to maximize my productivity and make the most of the limited space I have. For a bit of background, I still live with my parents, and I kindly share the room with my brother, and because I'm working from home, I've had to be very intentional with the things I keep in my space while trying to actually get more done. Now, you might be looking at my setup and wondering, Subhan, mate, you got the desk, you got the big screen, you got the fancy lights, where's your bed? Simple answer really, I don't have one. Or not a bed frame at least. You see, the problem is, this room is 4.5 meters long and 1.8 meters wide, which really limits the number of layers I can have. We did used to have a loft bed in here, but it began to get very cramped and I started to hate sitting down doing the actual work, so I had to go. At that point, I had to decide between having a bed and a bed frame or having an actual desk. It was an easy decision really. I can sleep on a mattress just fine, but I know myself and I would get absolutely nothing done working from my bed. I get it. It's not the most conventional setup and it probably seems like a massive inconvenience, but it actually helps me be a lot more productive and it saves a lot of space. During the day, I keep my bed on the side so I can work and be an absolute productivity machine, and then at night when I want to sleep, I just tuck my chair in, put my mattress down and then stare at the ceiling for an hour till I can actually fall asleep. And when I wake up every morning, I'm forced to make my bed and put it away, or I can't actually use my desk, and I'm no longer tempted by a 15-minute nap that would turn into a 5-hour sleep. You're probably thinking, it's not that hard to put your bed down and take a nap, but in the time when I'm tucking my chair in and putting the mattress down and getting my pillows, I'm forced to think, do you really want a nap right now? And almost always the answer is no. So that extra bit of friction actually saves me a lot of time and helps me be more productive. Before we get to the actual setup, a quick disclaimer. Nothing in this video is sponsored, so apart from 1 or 2 items, I paid for everything with my own money and you're going to get my 100% honest opinion. Now my setup is always changing depending on how I'm feeling at the time and my needs, so best believe I've tried everything trying to find the setup that actually works for me. I've tried dual monitors, ultra wide with a vertical monitor, laptop open, laptop close, PC, you name it, I've tried it. That being said, my current setup has lasted for about a year, and that may not seem like a lot, but it's actually a lifetime compared to how long the others have lasted. So it's safe to say that this setup serves my needs pretty well and it helps me get more done. Now getting onto the actual setup, let's start with the desk. I'm very sorry to say that I actually can't remember where we got the desk from, but what I can tell you is that it's actually just a kitchen worktop that we cut to size. It's 170cm wide and 60cm deep, which is just about deep enough that my face isn't right up against the monitor when I'm working, and it's more than wide enough to hold all my things. If you're looking for a new desk, I'd highly recommend having a look at some kitchen worktops instead. They're just as solid and they work out to be a lot cheaper. When I was looking for my desk, the option was an IKEA worktop, which was £100, or this one, which was £20, so the decision was clear. As for what's on the desk, let's go from right to left, starting with what powers the whole thing, my 2 MacBooks. The bigger one is my personal laptop and it's a 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro, which I mainly use for video editing, some light coding and design work, and some general productivity. And the smaller one is my work laptop, which is just a base model MacBook Pro from 2019. They're both sitting in a vertical monitor stand, which keeps them tucked away and to the side and actually saves a lot of space. It's easy enough to just grab one and take it out if I want to use the actual laptop screen, but it's not really possible to do it with one hand because of just how light the stand is. Other than that, it looks pretty clean and it holds them just fine, so it's enough for me. I've got both laptops connected to my monitor with these generic USB-C dongles. I don't have much to say about them other than they get the job done and they do what they're made for. Since I keep my laptops closed most of the time, I need a decent screen to work from, and for the past year that screen's been the LG 34 WN750. It has a 34-inch 2K resolution panel, which is just about enough for me and my work, and it's wide enough that I can have 2 windows open at the same time, which are usually my code editor and the application that I'm working on. I use a software called Magnet to move the windows around into some predefined layouts, which makes things a lot easier and saves a lot of time. The display itself is actually pretty good, and since it's a 2K resolution panel, it's more than sharp enough for everyday use, but the colours leave something to be desired. They're fine for everyday work and watching the occasional movie or TV show, but for anything that requires colour accuracy, this monitor is not it. I found that when I'm editing videos, I actually have to use the MacBook screen, because if I don't, the colours just don't come out like they're supposed to. It gets quite annoying, but it's not enough to make me splash out on a new monitor just yet. Sitting on top of the display is the monitor light I got from Amazon. It was pretty cheap compared to the other well-known brands, and it does the job just as good. It's got a bunch of colour temperatures and it has adjustable brightness, so it's more than enough for me. Now what kind of setup would be complete without a decent keyboard and mouse? I'm currently using the Logitech MX keys and the MX Master 3 and have been for the past 2 years. They both work amazing and I have literally zero complaints. The MX keys are a really solid keyboard overall. I personally think it looks great and the key travel is just enough without being super loud, so I can work for long periods of time without getting annoying. The MX Master 3 is my favourite mouse by far and I recommend it to everybody. It looks great and it works even better, so I have zero complaints. The horizontal scroll wheel is especially useful when navigating large design and code files, and the same goes for the forward and back navigation buttons. I honestly don't think I could do without them anymore. They both have the ability to connect to up to 3 different devices at the same time. This means I can switch between both my work and my personal laptop and my iPad with a single button press, so I don't have to have 2 keyboards just to use both devices. When it comes to battery life, they're both amazing. I think I've charged them both maybe 6 times in the past 2 years. They both live on this desk mat that I got from Amazon, and it was basically just the cheapest one that I could find, and it's been perfectly fine so far. In terms of audio, I have this mic from Find that I use for calls, and honestly I don't have a lot to say about it other than it works and people on the other end can hear me just fine. I've also got the Logitech speakers sitting on my desk for when I get tired of my headphones and want to listen to something out loud. Now I'm no audiophile, but they sound pretty good to me, and they're relatively cheap, so I'd definitely consider getting them. My headphones of choice are either my AirPod Pros or my Bose QC35-2s. Now I tend to wear the AirPods a bit more because I can wear them for longer without feeling them, but I definitely prefer the quality of the Bose. They're a solid pair of headphones. I've dropped them way too many times to remember, and I take them to the gym pretty regularly, so they get knocked about a fair bit, but they still work just like new. The sound cancelling is also top tier. It's perfect for when I want to block everything out and just get some deep work done. When I'm not using them, I hang them off this IKEA lamp that I got about 5 years ago. I really like how it looks, and it works great, so I definitely recommend it. Inside it, I've got a Wi-Fi bulb so I can control it from my phone, but more on that later. There's also some fake plants from IKEA just to add a bit of colour, and on the edge of the desk here, I have a stack of notepads. I use them if I have an idea that just pops into my head, or if I'm working on something and it just isn't making sense. Getting it out on pen and paper really helps work it out. I personally prefer using pen and paper for note-taking rather than my iPad, because you just can't recreate that feeling, and honestly, I just end up getting distracted by one thing or another if I use the iPad. I've also got a journal that I write in sometimes when I can't sleep, and it really helps getting my thoughts out of my head and onto my paper so I can make sense of them later. On top of them all, I have my Kindle Paperwhite, which I mostly use to read a bit before bed, and it helps keep my brain in the right mood for sleep. It also saves me a lot of space because I no longer have to have the physical copies of the books that I'm reading. I have all of this sitting on 2 Alex straw units from IKEA. This is honestly so useful because I don't have a lot of space, and it holds basically all my belongings. From random cables and camera gear to my shirts and important documents, they all live inside the drawers. I've got them in this teal colour, and I honestly could not do without them. Above the desk, I have these simple wall shelves from IKEA. I think they look pretty clean and they really add to the room, while giving me enough space to store my books and perfumes. On the windowsill, I have some more fake plants, and what might just be the best purchase I've made for this room yet. It's a sunrise alarm clock from Amazon, and it's completely changed the way I sleep. It's honestly so useful because I don't have an excuse to keep my phone in my room at night anymore. That means I sleep earlier, I wake up earlier, and in general my sleep is just much better. The lamp turns on 20 minutes before my alarm goes off, and if I'm being honest, it's not bright enough to wake me up on its own, but the alarm definitely is. This has drastically improved my sleep and my life in general, so I highly recommend it to everybody watching this. I've also got some more plants and another lamp that was sent out to me by a company, but I honestly never use it other than to be in the background when I'm on video calls. Now, the chair I'm using is a SecretLab Titan Evo 2022. These chairs are definitely not cheap, but the quality is great and the unboxing experience is by far the best out of any furniture I've ever had. It's pretty easy to put together and it just about fits in my room, which is lucky because I didn't check before I bought it. One of the main reasons I bought this chair compared to some of the more ergonomic models in the market is because it reclines all the way back, so if I want to take a quick 15-minute nap, I can just recline it back and go to sleep, but I'm not so comfortable that I can't wake up. It also helps me keep good posture while I'm working, which is really important considering the long hours I have to spend sitting at my desk. Now we can finally talk about lighting. In addition to the lamp, I also have an LED strip running down the wall and behind my desk, and I've also got some Govee light bars stuck behind my monitor. These are all connected to my Raspberry Pi, which for the purpose of this video is basically just a tiny computer. The reason that I've done this is that it allows me to connect all my lights and control them via the Apple Home app, and if I was to go with something like Philips Hue, this would cost about 3 times more, so it saved me a lot of money. I can also set scenes, and it's very useful being able to tell Siri to turn the lights off when I'm in bed and just too lazy to get up. Hey Siri. Turn the bedroom lights on. I feel like having these ambient lights really improves the look of the room and is much better than just using the one main light that the room has. If you'd like an in-depth video into how I've got all this working, drop a comment below and I'll definitely try and get one out. Now behind the camera is the part you guys don't usually see, and you might be surprised to find out that there's actually another whole setup there, which is my younger brother's. I'm not going to go into too much detail for his, but he's got an M1 MacBook Pro, the same keyboard and mouse as me, and an LG 27-inch monitor. He's also got a SecretLab Chair, which is a slightly older 2020 model, but it still works just great. The last thing in the room is the wardrobe. It's almost as old as me and it fits both mine and my brother's clothes, so it's got more than enough space. I've had a look here and there for some other alternatives, but I can't find anything else that would fit as much stuff in such a small space. That concludes my setup tour. I've tried to add links to everything that I could think of in the description, but if I've missed anything out, please let me know and I'll get a link to you. Thank you for watching and I'll see you guys next time.